Continuing professional development can often be viewed as an afterthought to school leadership, but over this past year, Leighton Primary School in Cheshire has demonstrated how it can become the lifeblood of a school. The school has embraced a range of CPD activities over the year, including the development of their own successful in-house consultancy.
CPD leadership in a school is essential if the school is going to make the right kind of progress. And in a school such as this one, that has had something of a checkered history and has experienced its difficulties in terms of the teaching and learning, at times it has to be very radical and innovative. Not innovation for innovation's sake, but we sometimes have to move away from traditional views of CPD. We decided that we would go with a particular university's training needs analysis, and that entailed all the staff inputting data about themselves, and it then created theoretically a profile of what their next step would be as far as the training needs were concerned. That didn't work, unfortunately, because although the system was very sophisticated and elaborate, it just didn't meet our particular requirements. The traditional view of CPD is one whereby it's vertical, top down, it involves lots of documents, it involves going out on courses, and very often it's not always pertinent to the school's needs. I think that you can't make it bespoke enough, and it needs to be individualised to the school's particular predicament. 2007 was a pivotal year for this school. Ofsted 2004 had said that we were an outstanding school. We'd reached 2007 based on a development plan from 2004 to 2007. So the question then was, where do we go from here to keep pushing back the boundaries of primary practice to make a really effective primary school? I felt it was essential that I found an experienced practitioner who had already shown empathy towards professional development in others. Frankly, she'd been an outstanding mentor for a newly qualified teacher. And as a consequence of that, we discussed a role as a professional development leader within the school. And it would be a very self-governing role.
Over this last year, I've seen my role as CPD leader to encompass the whole school and every person in the school, to look at their training needs and to link them with what is needed by the school in terms of its school development plan. The first thing I did in that role was to ask the teachers, go to the support staff and the office staff, and ask them first of all about their roles and where they were comfortable, where they saw a need, where they felt they could improve. So initially I did it in the form of a questionnaire, but spent time talking to individual teachers about the answers that were in that questionnaire. And I think quickly it became obvious that the CPD had a lot of flaws in it that they had experienced. For example, the sort of things they were telling me, that they were feeding back to me, was that they would go on a course and perhaps a certain amount of that course, if it was a day for example, perhaps they would get an hour out of that course that would be of true value.
The key points in our CPD are very much developing the in-house consultancy, not being dependent upon external organisations or agencies. However, we are a primary school and sometimes there are limited resources. So one of the other things that we've done is we've brought in our own in-house expertise through a speech therapist and an artist that we deploy within the school.
Where is that?
At school.
At a school? Let me have a look. They're waiting for something there. What do you think they're waiting for?
A bus.
Ah, so where are they?
They're at a bus station.
Very good. OK, so we've got a stumpy elephant at a bus station. And when is it going to happen? When do you get presents?
At somebody's birthday.
We were reaching a point whereby what seemed to be standing in the way of some children's development in literacy and those early literacy skills was the paucity of language and communication skills. And we didn't have that capacity in school to be able to train our teaching assistants over a long period of time. So we bought into the speech therapist for 2.5 days a week as part of the development plan from 2007 to 2010. Not only will she work with children, and teaching assistants and teachers can observe her work, but she will also observe the teaching assistants and teachers' work as well.
Can you stick out your tongue? Can you put your hands on your head? Can you sit on the floor? Good work. On your chair again. Good boy. All right.
Additionally, she's there as a consultant for us, for children with particularly challenging needs. But she's also devised a training programme that's quite formal within the school day that takes place periodically for, say, 6 weeks, where we look and focus on a particular area of speaking and listening, or speech and communication and language needs. As far as I'm concerned, it's probably and arguably one of the most significant interventions that this school has ever had. The impact is so profound. And hopefully, in terms of if you were to discuss what the teaching assistants and the staff have learned from Jo, it would be the kind of learning that is deep-seated, is deep-rooted, it's pedagogically based, and it's enabling them to improvise more in those learning interludes you have with very young children. We also have the artist in residence, and what she's again part of the 2007 to 2010 plan. She's working for 2 days a week in school. It's not to cover planning, preparation and assessment time. It's very much about professional development. And she's working with particular teachers, all of the teachers through Key Stage 2. They work alongside her and with groups of children as well. What the staff can do at that point is they see the whole creative process, they work through the planning with her, and then she devises the actual techniques and skills which the teacher can develop with the children.
So you need to go along there, like you've done all these lovely neat lines here, neat all along there, isn't it? So if you use your brush.
In terms of the strategic management of this, it's been my role to talk to individuals such as Sarah the artist and Jo the speech therapist, and again try to determine what role they would have in school. I wanted to give them some kind of ideas and thoughts and talk about the training aspect, so that they didn't think they were just delivering the curriculum or that they were delivering the speech therapy. I wanted them to understand that it was about the professional development component, and as I've said, they've created a wonderful environment in which that learning can take place for all the staff. The governors are totally committed to buying in this kind of external consultancy, and as I say, it has to be sustained over that period of 2 to 3 years. The funding we knew we had within the budget, so that's absolutely critical. If people are interested in figures, the speech therapist is costing something around £20,000. Now, in terms of the kind of professional development that's on offer over 2 to 3 years for something upward of 10 to 15 professionals within the school, I think that represents excellent value for money. Similarly with the artist in residence, you look at the costs of the artist in residence and balance that out in terms of the outcomes for the children and the kind of range of training that a whole school can achieve. I think again that represents excellent value for money. And I know some people will ask and say, are you extra funded? Are you funded beyond the normal kind of formula budget? No, we're not. So all of this funding, the governors have cleverly manoeuvred and manipulated the budget to make sure that we can sustain it for at least 2 years and hopefully 3 years.
Look again at that one. The school has had something of a tradition within House CPD. Senko and assistant head teacher Vicky Robertson has been leading in-house training courses in reading for both staff and parents for some time at the school with positive results.
Vicky's been doing this in-house consultancy from around 2000-2001 and was the ultimate model that we based a lot of this approach on. And her reading courses and also accredited writing courses that she's written. So Vicky's written all of the courses, she maintains those courses, and she scrutinised the standards within those courses for parents, teachers and teaching assistants. That work is ongoing, and it has been truly fruitful in terms of ensuring children have excellent outcomes in reading at the end of Key Stage 1.
I thought it might be a good idea for our 3 schools that are represented here just to get together and have a little meeting about how things are going, what the impact is.
As well as in-house CPD, the school has developed a strong networking approach. Vicky has been instrumental in sharing good practice of reading techniques with other schools in the area.
Because you're the SENCO as well, aren't you, Karen?
Yeah.
So, you know, most of these children, these vulnerable children, are known to you, aren't they?
They are, yeah. But it applies to all the children, really. It's supporting all the children. And we're also passing on what you've helped us with onto the other staff. So we're doing some more in-house training on that as well, and parent helpers.
Oh, brilliant.
The really successful networking have been the courses that we've devised in reading that we deployed within school with our teaching assistants, parents and teachers. So all of those particular adults could access this training. What we've been able to do, and it's very replicable and it's very doable, is we've taken that training out to other schools where they wanted it, free of charge.
I went on a science course outside of school.
Over this past year as CPD leader, Wendy has closely monitored training the staff has undertaken and has met with subject coordinators to discuss areas of need that have come out of the school development plan.
Obviously the big area that we're looking at in science is this investigative science, the hands-on, and we were all able to
So you think it was
that.
valuable, the fact that she came in to teach the specific area that we were interested in?
Absolutely, because there were bits of that science course externally that were not appropriate.
No.
So
One of the things I found when I took on this role a year ago was that people were doing CPD, but there was no way that they could reflect back on what they'd done, that they were not keeping records of what they'd done, and also equally the school did not have access to records. So I introduced portfolios for each member of staff, and they now keep those portfolios. They keep a record and they also keep feedback from any courses or any work they do with the artist goes into this file. From assessing and speaking to staff, it seems to me that the most successful CPD comes from not things which are passed down, which sometimes lack relevance, but where we actually go out there and challenge our ideas, where we're using our own strengths, our own expertise, and valuing what we have already in school.
But this is very much about the school and its needs. Make sure that they're the targeted ones for that particular school. And my advice to anybody would be, don't always be dictated to by outside agencies. Determine what you think is right for your school. Why shouldn't my children, no matter what a background, why shouldn't they access the best kind of curriculum possible? And how do they do that? They do that through the skills of the teachers and the teaching assistants. And so it becomes essential that their professional development is a focus of my role in a strategic sense.